Hey guys, it's Scott here and thank you for clicking this video. I hope you're all doing well. Today I thought I'd do a legend tier list. Of course, there's been a lot of buffs and nerfs over the seasons in Apex and I've never done one of these before, so it could be quite interesting. And of course we have the new legend fuse to place into this. Just before we do get started, I would like to plug my Twitch, so if you are interested in watching some Apex gameplay or watching me play live, it might not always be Apex, I've been playing a few other games, do check out the link in the description to my Twitch and we'll all have a chat. It's always fun and I'd love to see more people over there. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get to the ranking system. I am going to go from the bottom up. I mean, I wouldn't really consider this anyone really F or E tier. I mean, there's definitely bad legends, but I'm not going to go as low as that. I think there's not really any need to kind of position them that low. But we're going to start in the D tier. So, of course, this is only my opinions, and you might not agree with these, and you might, but it's kind of my opinions based on my experience of playing the game and playing the different legends. So let's get to it. So the first person, there's two people in D tier for me personally, and the first person is, of course, Rampart. I mean, she looked absolutely insane in Season 6 when she was going to be added, but she's not really had much of an impact at all on the game. And although she has been buffed, I honestly think she doesn't really have a place in Apex at the minute. I think she could do that with a rework. Her ultimate and her tactical, yes, her ultimate is okay. I mean, it's not the worst. Or is it the worst? I mean, that's probably why she's at the bottom. But her tactical as well is just something really easy to counter. Yes, her minigun can do quite a bit of damage, but honestly, I wouldn't say it's game breaking. I don't think it really offers any major advantage to a team. And there's definitely better legends to play, which is why I've placed her down in the D tier. I think she could do with further buffs and maybe even like a whole rework at this point. I don't know what else they can do to her to make people pick her. She's also one of the least picked legends in the game, and it comes as no surprise to me. Along with Rampart though, I have placed Revenant in D tier, which might come as a shock to some of you. Revenant is like, he's fun to play, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's massively game-changing, to be honest. Of course, he can climb higher, and his crouch walking is kind of good at some points, but his only real advantage to a team is the death totem for pushers. But there's plenty of other teams who other legends who I think benefit from using their abilities to push in, which we will get to later on. And of course, if the enemy team finds that death totem, you're not really at an advantage. They can just thermite that or caustic trap it or whatever, and you're gonna end up dead. I mean, he's fun to play, but honestly, I don't see him as like a really important legend. And again, there's definitely other people who are better for a push. He might be alright on his own to play, like just have a little bit of fun with, but personally, I don't think he's a cracking legend to play. Moving on to the C tier, I'm gonna put Mirage in this one, and you might be thinking, but you know, all these Mirage mains, I don't think Mirage is that great. His buffs have made him better, don't get me wrong, like his footsteps with his ult now is a lot better, but I just think the normal Mirage isn't too hard to kind of figure out where he is. Like, you don't get aim assist on the decoys with controller, so it's kind of easy to find the actual Mirage. And honestly, bamboozles don't really do a lot in my opinion. Yeah, you can control them, but they're pretty easy to suss out, and I don't think they catch that many people out anymore. I think we've all come accustomed to Mirage's decoys and bamboozles. His ult isn't too bad for getting out of situations, and of course his passive is actually quite good, making someone invisible, but if you know where that person is, you're also going to get taken out. For that reason, I'm putting him in the C tier. I might have some Mirage mains pretty angry at that, but for me, I just don't consider him one of the stronger legends. I'm also going to put Loba in the C tier. I think she's a useful legend, don't get me wrong, but I think she could do with some buffs. I think a black market is very, very useful, especially at the start of games. It's a super fast charge, and it's useful for getting that loot early. But it would be nice to be able to pick up your teammates' death banners. I think that would bring her up a tier or 2, if I'm honest. I think that would be a very, very useful skill to have. I know a lot of people moan about her tactical, saying it's not the best, but after all, Loba isn't meant to be an attacking legend, and if she had an instant kind of time on her bracelet, yes, maybe it could be tweaked a little bit, but if it was instant like Wraith's old tactical, I think she would be very, very overpowered because of the trajectory and the velocity that she gets from that bracelet. It would be like ridiculous, and I think that's why there's such a huge delay on her bracelet itself, and I think that's a good thing. Yes, I think it still needs some tweaking. There can be times where you might have trouble throwing it quickly, or sometimes where it bugs a bit and you can't actually change positions and stuff, which is why I think she needs a little bit of tweaking, and she could then potentially be a very, very useful legend to have. Moving on to the B tier, I'm going to place Octane in this one. His buffs make him very useful, honestly. I like his Season 8 buffs a lot to his jump pad. There is better team-based legends though, in my opinion. I think his stim, you know, it's really for him. He can be a massive loot goblin. I'm sure you've come across those Octanes. His passive is very good though. I do like being able to regen heals. His jump pad does have some team play around it, especially with the new buffs, but I honestly don't think it's enough to bring him up any further than a B tier. Watson is also in the B tier. I think she's very good, but unfortunately it's more like a defensive kind of thing. She's only good in certain situations, like to hold down places. I think running around the map in the early game, she might not be that great to use. She's definitely good, especially in ranked, but mainly towards the end game, I would say. I just don't think when you're running around the map, you get a lot of running and gunning, especially in public lobbies. I don't think she's that strong. She's mainly for locking off areas and holding areas down, and I think that is way more important in the end game, which is why I've placed her in the B tier. Now, some people might be a little angry at this, but I've also placed Pathfinder in the B tier. And you might be wondering why. And for me, Pathfinder definitely used to be one of the best legends, personally, in the game, what I thought. But I think his hitbox change and the fact that he's still low profile, and also his cooldowns now on his ziplines, sorry, not his ziplines, but his tactical grapple, it's just a little much, and it's kind of taken him down from the A tier for me. I used to play Pathfinder quite a lot, but honestly, since the changes, I don't really play him no more. His ultimate is very good for getting in and out of situations, as is his tactical, but I honestly don't think Pathfinder should be a low-profile legend no more as well. He is absolutely huge, and of course his hitbox is a lot bigger now, so for that reason, I'm going to stick him in the B tier. Now, A tier, I've got quite a few legends in this, I will admit. I think there's some very, very strong legends who are very close to being S tier, but I think they're more A tier in my opinion. Now, I've placed Gibraltar at the A tier. I honestly think he's going to be very, very strong for squads and for ranked, especially in King's Canyon. Just having that ability to drop his dome anywhere with the amount of open space in King's Canyon is very, very useful. And of course, he has that gun shield which can basically block a Kraber and make him an absolute tank. Like, if you're 1v1 in Gibraltar, you might not come out on top, let's put it that way. But he is a very team-based legend, and you obviously need to have the right kind of Gibraltar, in my opinion, playing him. But he is very, very strong, and you learn him right and learn when to use his abilities, and he will definitely push the edge to help you get those wins. Lifeline, again, A tier legend. She's great for the team-based players. Of course, that revive shield is, you know, everyone hates it, but if you're playing Lifeline, it is very, very good. If you launch a thermite down, you can kind of combat it, but I honestly think Lifeline is a very, very good legend, especially for team play when you're all kind of working together with a good team composition. Having that Lifeline there so you don't have to worry about your health, and having that res on tap is very, very useful. And for that reason, her ultimate might not be the best, but it does offer some kind of extra shields and you know, you might get lucky with some of the loot, but I honestly think she's one of the better legends to use in Apex, and for that reason I would put her in the A tier. Now, you might have been waiting for this one as he is new to the season, but I would also put Fuse as an A tier legend. I've not played him massively, but I think he's coming at like the perfect sweet spot, if I'm honest. He's not too powerful and he's not too weak, and I think he's a very good balanced legend, and that's why I've put him in the A tier. I think he's very good. You can combat him, you know, if you're an Octane or a Wraith or Horizon, you can combat his ult pretty easy. GB combats his ult as well. But I just think he's strong in certain situations, but not to the point where it's ridiculous and you absolutely hate him. I think he's at a very, very good sweet spot, and that's why he's sitting at the A tier. Bangalore, again, I would put her at the A tier as well. I think she's a very, very balanced legend, same as Fuse. Easy to combat, but also very good in certain situations, and I honestly think she's a very overlooked legend. She's very good in my opinion, and again, she kind of sits at that perfect sweet spot. She's not considered too overpowered, she's not considered too weak, and for me, she's just perfect. She's like really, really balanced, and her abilities are really good for attacking and defending, and for that reason, again, I would put her in the A tier. So I've put Caustic in the A tier as well. This would have been S tier for me, which I'm glad it isn't, to be honest, because Caustic is a very, very hard legend to combat. The reason I've not put him in S tier is, of course, the tweak made in Season 7, which did give him the damage increase, but the vision blurring got removed. And I think that's a good thing. Like, the vision blur with Caustic was horrendous to combat, which is good. And of course now his gas disappears when he's dead as well, which is also very good. Caustic is definitely very useful again in certain situations, locking down areas. He's great for being able to get the revives off as well, because he can block all the doors with his gas traps and things, and he's very good at endgame as well, and that in itself is just a useful legend. So the reason I've put Crypto here is because his abilities are very, very good. He's got that recon capability, he's got the instant revives with his drone, he can collect his teammates' banners, and he's got the EMP, which he can use aggressively and defensively. I think he's very, very good, but the only things letting him down is, of course, you need that drone before you can do any of that, and if that drone gets taken out, then you're kind of like at a disadvantage. And I feel without his EMP, he isn't the strongest as well. I think his EMP is great, but you know, it does take a bit to charge, and without it, he might not be the best for aggression. But you get a good Crypto player, and honestly, I think he's very well up there. He's a very good balance at the minute. I don't think much needs tweaking to him, if I'm honest. I don't think he'll get tweaked for a good while. So the moment you've all been waiting for, the S tier. Now, of course, for me, Bloodhound is up here. I think they're a very, very good legend. They have similar recon capabilities, much like Crypto, but I think the movement and the Beast of the Hunt really gives them that advantage. You get a Bloodhound coming towards you, and they are in that Beast of the Hunt. I think sometimes that movement is kind of hard to track because of that increased speed. Not only this, but I think Bloodhound is just a very good legend in ranked especially as well, and they make up as part of a great team composition. Just knowing where your enemies are and kind of like having a wall hack essentially, just knowing exactly where they are, how many there is of them, is super useful, because obviously you might hear footsteps and you might only think there is one person in there, but if you've got a Bloodhound, they can tell you exactly how many enemies are hanging around, and it's just really good information before you're going into pushes. I honestly think with the buffs of the Bloodhound has received, that's what makes them S tier. Before this, they weren't quite there, but obviously the time they've had with the buffs over the past few seasons, it has definitely made them a really, really solid choice. Now, Horizon I would put at the S tier. I think she's a very, very strong legend in the game, even after her tactical nerf. Nobody really has the abilities like she does. She has the great mobility and movement to be able to get her team into high places very quickly and herself into high places while actually shooting their weapons as well. And her ult isn't actually that bad. You combine that, as I said before, with Fuse and Caustic, and you've got a really, really toxic team, and it can just kind of push people back a bit. A lot of people have learned that you can now destroy her ult though, but it kind of holds people back if you need it. or it kind of helps with the push as well. I just think it's a movement that really takes her up, and I think she's a very good legend. You know, she's very fast to get around the map, and just having no effect from falls as well is super useful in certain situations, and especially early game. If you're like dropping in, you can hop straight into a slide and get some loot a little faster, and obviously take out teams around you. And I just think that's very useful. I honestly think Horizon is still a solid legend despite her tactical nerf, which of course they've reduced the cooldown, but honestly I think her movement is just very strong, and for that reason I would put her as one of the best legends in the game. Now, of course, it comes as no surprise, but I would say Wraith is still the strongest, or one of the strongest legends in the game. Yes, she's had a hitbox nerf, and she might not be as hard to hit, but her abilities are just, you can't compare with them, in my opinion. Just the ability to get in and out of situations really fast, the portals for both pushing and defending, getting your teammates in and out of situations quickly, being able to rotate faster, being able to rotate through the storm as well without taking too much damage because of her tactical as well. Her passive is super strong because she obviously can tell if there's any enemies nearby that you might not have seen. I honestly think she's still one of the best legends in the game, and she has some really cool skins, which is a bonus. Yeah, she keeps getting nerfed, but hopefully with a hitbox change, we might see some changes to her tactical. And to be honest, if they change her tactical again and it kind of buffs it, I honestly think Wraith will be ridiculously good, ridiculously good. If you're unsure on a legend to learn, I would highly recommend Wraith. You honestly can't go wrong with her, and for me, she is the best legend in the game without a doubt. She's very strong for multiple situations. Of course, with Wraith, she doesn't have the height kind of movement abilities, but I still think she's very strong and can definitely help your team, and that's why we always see her in a lot of games and why a lot of people pick her and why she's still trying to be nerfed. So that is my kind of opinion on where all the legends stand. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below and see where you would kind of put legends, or if you change anyone around. Of course, this is just my opinion and my thoughts on the legends and kind of what I would do to them to make them a little better, or why they are why they are. So that is how I would grade all the legends for Season 8 in Apex Legends. Of course, this is only my opinions, and yours may differ quite a lot, or we might be on a similar kind of playing field, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. So please drop them down there. I do read every single comment on my videos and try respond to all of them as well. So be sure to drop a comment and let me know your kind of thoughts on my ranking system. I'm going to leave it there for now though, so thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.